After training for almost a decade, I can guarantee that you don't have to bench to build a bigger chest. In fact, I can recall only benching about 3 to 5 times in the entire decade of my journey. So in today's video, I'm going to show you guys how you can build a bigger chest without benching at all. So hop into it. The first thing I want to talk about are the exercises that have become a staple in my chest/push workouts. And obviously you probably already know it is the entire variation of push-ups, dips, and straight bar dips, right? So we have the whole dynamic of wide, close, normal, arches, cobras, biceps, upper chest push-ups, decline push-ups, incline push-ups, the entire array of push-ups pretty much. So the next thing to cover would be, how did I use those exercises to build a bigger chest if many of them are already from the jump initially easy? So now we're going to be talking about training techniques, modalities, and principles. We'll first start off with principles. The first principle is frequency. How often are you going to be training chest or push a week? You guys have to be training push or chest twice a week as a whole. Any more than that, there's just not enough room for recovery. Once a week is not enough, because by the time your chest recovers, you're gonna have to wait like another 3 to 4 days before you can hit chest again. So just remember, from the jump, based on your current split right now, push, pull, legs, up or lower, hit chest twice. So the whole total of your sets should be about 15 to 25. Many people go for about 10 to 20. Honestly, my workouts range a bit on the higher end. So about 15 to 25 sets collectively throughout the whole week that I train chest. And the second principle would be training intensity or effort. How hard are you guys actually training when you are training chest, or even collectively when you are training in general? You have to be taking most of your sets to failure, or at least 1 to 2 reps in reserve of failure. But let's say you don't want to take each and every set to failure. I don't take every set to failure. But at least you have to take the third or the last set of every exercise that you do to complete failure. You cannot push anymore. See, if we are training push-ups, and push-ups are relatively easy to most people, if you can rep out 30 to 50 reps clean and it's still pretty easy for you, you have to get to the point where you are barely able to complete one. You are barely able to press up for another rep. That's the threshold that you have to reach in order to stimulate muscle growth, in order to build a bigger chest. If you are still able to rep out another 10 after you finish 30, there's a problem there. But obviously this is based on you doing high reps, you not using any kind of training technique to make the push-ups more difficult, which is what we'll get into right now. So the next thing is training techniques. How do we make the push-ups more difficult? If we can rep out 30 to 100 reps, how do we make that more difficult? If we want to work within a 6 to 12 or 6 to 15 rep range and reach muscular failure within that rep range, how do we do that? The first thing would be to slow your reps down. Have a set tempo. When I was first starting, I probably used a 2-2-2 tempo. So that is 2 on the eccentric, 2 on the isometric, and 2 seconds on the concentric. You have to slow things down. Remember, building muscle isn't about finishing the workout as fast as possible. It's about stimulating the muscles as much as possible within the given time frame that you have within that workout. It's about breaking down the muscle tissue so that we can rebuild and recover in post. The reps and the sets have to be difficult. I know push-ups are easy, but you have to have a little bit of anxiety when you're going into a good set, a really difficult set. Anyone who has experience in weightlifting and free weights knows what I mean. You get a little bit of anxiety. You can feel your heartbeat rising because it's going to take a lot of you to finish that set and to complete it. To get that same sensation with push-ups, it has to be difficult. Tempo is one thing. Squeezing on the concentric is another thing. So if I'm going on a push-up, I'm coming down and I'm coming back up. On this squeeze your chest as hard as you can. But to really aim for that anxiety and that heartbeat, that nerve, so to speak, it has to be heavy. So that's when we resort to weight plates or weight vests. If someone is stacking plates on top of you, or you are putting a weight vest over yourself, then you really have to rise to the occasion. You really have to push yourself to finish that set. You get to the point where you're like, okay, the rep range is 8 to 12. I might be able to get 8 if I use about 40 kg on my back, for example. That's the threshold that you have to get to. Mentally, that's the fear that you have to reach most of the time. In addition to all these techniques, you also have 1.5 reps. So on a push-up or a dip, if I'm coming down, I'm doing a half, and then I'm coming back up. On a dip, same thing. I'm coming down, half, all the way back up. Those were the primary exercise techniques that I use to make push-ups way more difficult than they actually should be, in addition to weight plates and weight vests. When you use all of that encompassed together, your training will skyrocket. Your gains will skyrocket, trust me. And of course, in conjunction with a good diet, you're going to see your physique get to the next level. So another thing that would lead to a bigger chest and overall a more aesthetic chest would be with the incorporation of horizontal adduction. That is the only thing missing from normal push-ups. Horizontal adduction is one thing that we can't do on the floor or on the bar. With the use of rings, which will again take your chest, your physique to the next level, because you have that option, because you are in space and bringing the rings together. We have that horizontal adduction, which is going to stimulate and contract the muscles to its full capacity. You're going to get the most bang for your buck when using rings. And get this, to take the rings to the next level, all the training techniques that are listed before, in addition to the weight plates and the vests, imagine doing weighted dips with a 1.5 rep with a 2-2-2 tempo. Imagine that for a second. I'm imagining it right now with a 20 kg plate, and it's hell. Last workout I did, I think it was a 10 or 20 kg plate with a 3 pulse, 1 sway ring dip. If you guys don't know what a pulse sway dip is, pretty much it's you come down, pulse 3 times, and you come up, you come back down, you sway, and then you come back up. That is 1 rep, and imagine doing that on rings with a weight belt with a 10 to 20 kg plate. Now, in terms of how to make the rings most effective to build your chest is full range of motion. So if we're coming down on a normal push-up, you set up the rings properly. You come down, as you come up, you want to bring those rings together. They want to touch together. Or even on flies, as we're coming out, we are coming in and together. We need horizontal adduction. We have normal pressing, right? Just like on the bench or on the normal push-up. And now we are moving in space, bringing everything together. By doing that, we have much more stimulation and much more contraction with the chest. It's going to be a game changer. I advise you guys to invest in a set of rings that you can pretty much chuck on anywhere, and it will really take your chest to the next level. You will gain tremendously. If you guys are going to use rings, use the link in the description. I have a ton of shit there that I use from Amazon. Amazon is like freaking heaven for cheap stuff. Conclusively, remember that training is specific. If your goal is to build muscle, you can do so without benching. You have access to a lot more things than you actually think. However, it would be different if your specific goal was to bench 4 plates. If you want to bench 4 plates, you have to bench. Training is specific. If you want to run faster, you have to run. The fastest runner alive doesn't exclude sprinting in his training regimen. But yeah, to add on top of this, guys, if you're looking for a 3-year plus program, calisthenic program, take your chest over your overall physique, honestly, to reach pure aesthetics. It's a 3-year plus program on my website, kaizenofsoul.com. Check that out. Also, I have officially released the ebook, which is to most beginners to completely introduce fitness into your life. It pretty much covers everything known or needed to make fitness a part of who you are. But yeah, regardless of that, I'll see you guys in the next one, and peace out. Easy.